Ooh, what is up, everyone? Man, we've got here in Colorado Springs, we've got about 40 minutes left until we go into 2021. And so, hey, last live for 2020, and then head into the new year and continue on the journey. And it's exciting just to think about what's taken place this past year with 2020 and just looking at going forward to what 2021 holds and the things that will come out of it. I'm excited for it, but I have to laugh because my kids, they've got the same sense of humor as me for life. But my oldest had given me this cup, best dad on the block, and you can see it's Lego blocks and whatnot. So good time, excited for that, and just have to laugh because it's funny. Lego blocks go to the build and whatnot. I have to bring something up because it's one of those unique things that when I bring this up and share it, you'll be like, why would you say that to yourself? And I came across this. I don't remember who I heard this from, but there is a song out there by Lunch Money Lewis, I believe, and it's a female singer, and it's titled "I Love Me." And driving today, flipped down the rear view mirror and just started looking at myself, and I was like, "I love you." And you're like, why would you tell yourself that you love you? Well, think about it. That's something that you're speaking to yourself. You've got yourself 100% of the time. So if you don't love yourself, then who else is going to love you? And it's unique because after I'd done that, I started laughing and I had a big old smile. I normally have a big smile, anyways, but it's just one of those things that if somebody was to walk by and listen to me say that, they would probably do a double take and be like, who's this guy talking to? But yeah, you just look in the mirror and it's ultimately just saying, I love you for whatever it is. Maybe it's for the passion and the drive and the spirit that you bring to whatever it is. Maybe it's the infectious smile and you make other people smile, or they just look at you and they're like, "Why are you smiling? What do you have to smile about all the time?" And it's one of those communication pieces that can really be a infectious piece, especially if you see somebody that's always smiling and just loving life and whatnot. Just think about what that does for you. Unless you're an individual that you're just mad at everything and you're mad at the world, then you're gonna be like, I want to punch that dude in the face. I want to rip his damn lips off of his face and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's one thing to think about starting tomorrow, first day of 2021. Look at yourself in the mirror and just speak to yourself and say, I love you. I love you for what you bring. I love you for your work ethic. I love you for your passion. Because that's another way to start that journey of self love. But then I had shared on Facebook today, my personal page, that we're looking at words to be dropped, a single word to be dropped that myself and Patrick can utilize in the live stream on Saturday with the unboxing and the unpackaging of Pokemon cards. And like, what are these guys doing? They're adult men and they're unpacking Pokemon cards. But like I talked about last night, it's not always about business. It's what avenue, what is there out there that we can do to make people smile, that we can bring a smile to somebody else's face. And so part of what we're doing with the live stream is unpacking them and then having giveaways, giving some of the cards away to others, to other kids. Ultimately, Patrick talked about kids. And so if you've got kids that enjoy Pokemon, have them watch the live stream and they can choose their cards and whatnot. And I think I will have my youngest on the live stream. So this is going to be very interesting. And it was funny, we were talking and just to listen to her get excited about Pokemon and just the different characters and whatnot. So it's one of those things that it's interesting. So I'm excited just to have her on. She can share her knowledge and really spit some truth bombs on us, I guess. Even though she's a beautiful young lady, growing up and whatnot. But hey, it's another way to bond and just have fun and whatnot. But it's unique though, just when you look at the last year and what what are you taking from this year that you're gonna bring into 2021? What are you grateful for when you really look at it? What took place for you that you're excited that took place? And you're like, man, well, how am I going to find something that I'm excited about with everything that took place? Well, you just got to do a deep dive. You got to look and whatnot. And then you look at different things. So I was scrolling through and I don't even know what I was on. I think I was on Instagram or something and just kind of scrolling through. And a Vans advertisement came up and it was a shoe with wool with fur on top of the shoe, like up here by the ankle. They are high tops and whatnot, but they're like, it will keep you warm. I'm like, if that fake fur gets wet, you're gonna be cold. So it's gonna defeat its purpose of trying to keep you warm. And it's unique when you can see things like that. You start looking, you're like, this makes no sense. Like the advertisement says it's supposed to do this, but when you really do deep dive and you start looking at it, no, like this is nuts. And then the other thing, I came out of the mall and on my car and around the car, all the other cars around me and whatnot were little postcard flyers of looking to sell your house. Most real estate agents, it's 6%. We can get it and have it done for you at 4%. And I'm like, why would you waste money on print those? And then I would say probably 98% of them is going to get tossed. And so I'm just like, man, how much money did they spend on these little flyers to stick in people's cars and whatnot when you could have gone a different way? Maybe find a way to build a relationship and give value and create value for others. Like we've talked about, the power of social media, having the ability to have a free platform that you can reach a very large audience. You just kind of have to understand the algorithm of Facebook and the necessary pieces and whatnot. So, but it's one of those things that you start doing the deep dive, you start looking and really considering, you're like, man, is that really cost effective and whatnot? But then I look at it too, because I was editing a podcast today for one of the many that I'm part of. And there's a downloadable application. It's called Audacity. And it's unique just to watch because in there it's very easy. Because my experience with using Anchor, when you're trying to trim the audio, you'll have a point where it will trim and then come together, but like there's a delay. And so it's not very smooth. But then you watch the technology that's available to us, and you can utilize Audacity to edit audio. And the unique thing is, a lot of professionals use this type of equipment, use this type of application to accomplish your end product. And so you could potentially teach yourself and be self taught. But once you get to a certain point, then you're probably looking at outsourcing to other individuals to do this for you because you may be very, very busy. But it's just unique when I watch it. When you're trimming the audio, you're cutting out certain pieces of the audio and just how it bleeds together. And it just moves smoothly from the first part before you cut it and then the second part after you cut that segment, how it just comes together and it just moves smoothly. And it's man, it's so powerful. It's unique when you see the power of technology and you have these tools. So you could be self-taught. It's just you have the passion to do that. Because if you don't have the passion to do it, why are you going to waste your time when you could use your time for something else and find somebody that is the expert in there? And so I've got Titus that chimed in here that's what I'm saying. Hashtag leverage. Oh, that's a powerful thing. People, for whatever reason, get scared about the word leverage. I don't know why. And it's one of those unique things. Yeah, do what you love. As Titus has here, it's you got to do what you love. Because if you have no passion for it, but you're trying to accomplish something, you're going to have a shitty product at the end because you're not in it. And so you'll have people that are doing jobs and doing careers and doing different things that they don't have a passion, and you can really tell. But think about the word of leverage, how people freak out about thinking about the idea of leveraging. I don't know why people freak out about that, but it's funny because the banks, you look at the banks leverage everybody. Like you'll give your money to them in a checking account, a savings account, and they're giving us piddly returns in the interest rate. But then they turn around and take the money that you have deposited for them to safely keep for you. They're taking your money and flipping it and handing it out to somebody else as a loan. And then they're turning around and charging an arm and a leg depending on the interest rate. So you're being leveraged by the bank. So why not find ways to leverage what you can do to focus on what you're passionate about, what your strengths are, and then anything that you're weak in, flip that and give that to somebody else. Have them go ahead and work on that and build on it and use their skills and their talent that they're strong in. And next hashtag house party. With StreamYard, we can get 10 people on, depending on your account. So the account I have, we can bring 10 people on, and that'd be a unique perspective and whatnot. So house party, I don't know where we're going with the house party here, Titus, but it'll be interesting. I know, I don't know which route we're going here and whatnot, but I guess if you're looking at the house party, you're building the house and you're focusing. I don't know if I'm going the right way here, but you're building the house and having a house party with your strengths and other people's strengths and bringing them together. And here we go with this one. Let's go. That is right. Let's go, Titus. We know that's something that I'm always speaking on. And it's unique because with Patrick and I, with the book, one of the titles that are coming to mind is Let's Go with Imperfect Action. And so it's funny when you start getting into the creative process, how it starts flowing and how that starts showing up and whatnot. And then Happy New Year's. Yes, Happy New Year's to you, Titus. I know, man, 2021's got some big things that is going to take off, but a lot of people have the opportunity to learn from 2020 what they were able to grow from, what they're able to bring lesson wise, and just bring that into 2021 and take off with it and explode with it. It's just a matter of their viewpoints and how they see things and how they're viewing things and whatnot. But yeah, it's here we go. Let's go. Getting into the New Year's and ultimately, what's your view on it? How are you looking at it coming into the new year? Which that's another thing that I'm really seeing, that where everybody has these memes on Facebook, Instagram, everything like that. Like somebody had a dumpster that was labeled 2020, and then the sun was up, and they had put 2021 next to the sun. But I'm thinking, I'm like, so everything that's going on for 2020 is going to cut off, and the first day of 2021, a new change or something like that. I don't know. So we got Strong coming in here. So yeah, we got to go in strong. But it baffles me. It's just like we look at it, and with this view, people are viewing 2020 as a horrible year, as a garbage year. But man, there was so much that came out of 2020. You can look at it, find those lessons, grow, and here we go. For Titus, all pass. Yesterday was the pass. This morning was the pass. Goals. Yeah, that's very, very true. It's the present moment and being present. Like we have everything in the Titus is we got goals, yep, lessons, good times. But yeah, it's just it makes me wonder and whatnot, but it's unique. But like I said, everybody's got their lenses and they see the world through their lens and how they see it. We gotta respect each other's lenses and whatnot, but it's just, man, we're looking at things wrong sometimes and going about the wrong way, and It's one of those things that when you think about it, if you're focusing on the negative, you're stacking the negative thoughts, and then that just expands, and so everything else that is not good is starting to show up, and you're like, what is going on here? Well, ask yourself, what are you thinking about? What are you stacking? How are your thoughts stacking and whatnot? And what's the basic foundation of your thoughts? Is it negative or positive? Discover your true self. Yeah, man, I think this year really opened up the doors for a lot of people, but it's still trying to discover your true self is a task that can be very tough because that is doing a deep dive and getting rid of the pseudo self, getting rid of that mask and pulling it back and really seeing your true self and whatnot. Higher vibration, higher energy. And yes, that's one of those things that can really kind of go over people's heads sometimes when it comes to the higher vibration, higher energy. And it's the matter of doing the deep dive and being open to question your beliefs, because a lot of the beliefs we have are these false beliefs that have been stuck in us based on other people's experiences, and a lot of times we don't question and we don't try to tear them down and really see what is true to us and what's not true to us. It's tough, yeah. It is a very not tough. I guess it's a challenge. It's a climb up the mountain. Um, yeah, it kind of depends upon your how you're looking at things. Time is going hand right now, so it's tough, but very worth it. That's true. Being vulnerable, man, that's one of those things that uh, I don't know. Being vulnerable, because that's one thing with some of the questions I've asked is some of those answers is the vulnerability piece, the transparency piece. But we have the issue of opening up and being true to ourselves because a lot of people are being scared of the judgment and having the jaded aspect of, well, this is what people have thought about me. I don't want to open up because I'm scared of being judged. But you got to oh man, get the damn spotlight off of yourself and put it on other people and just show up and be true to yourself. Rewrite the code. And so we can talk about neuroplasticity and your brain functioning, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and getting into that very deep stuff there. Subconscious programming. Well, yeah, beliefs and paradigm, and can't lie to yourself. Well, I don't know. Can't lie to yourself. I think you could potentially get into the point where somebody has gotten so good at believing that lie, believing the untruth, and holding on to it, and maybe they look at it and they're like, that's not a lie. That's my belief. With this aspect of can't lie to yourself, that could be one of those very subjective things when you think about it, because you can get some people that get so rooted and so deep in the rut that they may be in. And if they don't have anybody that can shake them or step in and break that vicious cycle, that negativity cycle, I don't know. But it's also the fact that, is this person willing to look and try to do something different? Are they willing and ready to change? Because if somebody's not willing and ready to change, this belief that they have, the paradigm that they have, they're not going to question it. They're going to keep running with it. And so, I don't know. It's one of those things that you can get a different perspective on this. And so, based on what Titus is saying here with can't lie to yourself, I know he's got his perspective, and this is how I look at it. And so I think it's unique too, because if you can see the opinions of others and listen and be open to see what somebody else is seeing and understand the lens that they're looking through, it can be very powerful. That is why it's so important for us to stay and speak in our power, be the light, #glow, speak truth. And so speak truth, that's, oh man, it's what are you telling yourself? What's the story that you're telling yourself? What thoughts do you have? And because what you speak is going to become truth. and it can either be the negative truth or it could be positive truth. But it's the power of the spoken word, the power of your tongue, how that vibrational piece, like you were talking about, your words have that power to attract. And so you got to think about it. If you've got the negative connotation, you have a lower vibration. And so the lower vibration that you have is going to attract other things that have lower vibrations. And so you're speaking truth by what you're thinking and what you're telling yourself. And that could be your truth. But it goes back to being wanting to change and being open to change, and so there it's unique because you can have a very slow transitional period that you may never see anything take place, or you could have a very painful, powerful experience that jump starts that to get you to open up and want to make that change. But then it's also the fact of who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you listening to? What are people speaking into you? And that can play into it too. Power of association, that's huge, because it's the power of six. So the five closest people you surround yourself with are the five closest stories or thoughts, or you can do anything like that. You're going to become the sixth. And so it's very, very true. And so, man, this is God. We're way over here. I was just coming on to talk about just a couple of final thoughts for 2020, but I guess this is something that had to be spoken on. But yeah, no, it's thank you, Titus, for the interaction here. It's one of those things that I laugh because if you don't get a lot of interaction, people that do lives or do podcasts and they're by themselves or they're doing the lives by themselves and they don't have any interaction, it's kind of interesting because it's at the point where you're kind of talking to yourself, which is okay, and sharing your ideas, sharing your thoughts, and the power of what you're sharing could be that one nugget that somebody else needs to hear or they need to make that adjustment and whatnot. Thanks for playing. Appreciate it. We really, I really want to do kind of what Travis Brown does. I think he said he'll have that launched in January. The aspect of he was doing a podcast of 20 questions with just random individuals, but he was using the app Poddex. And so let me go grab my other phone here real quick. So hold on, I'll pull that up. But I think Titus, you may know a little bit about this. I don't know if you've been around and whatnot, but this is something that I kind of utilize. Gary utilizes it a little bit on his podcast. But this tool, this Poddex, is a very powerful tool. It's something that opens up some different conversations and gets people thinking a little bit differently. And sometimes it's conversation pieces that aren't really touched and it can be these off the wall things and whatnot. And so actually the funny thing is he's got a new deck in here that's coming out 1 January. So here very, very soon. It'll probably be early morning and whatnot. New year, new use with a new deck and whatnot. But let's see here. Since we like to do, let's see here. We got WTF. So let me pull this up. Let's see here. If you had to pick a new name for yourself, what would you pick? And so this is actually funny thing is it's not. That's not physical. No, it is. And for myself, I've talked about this, and I'd be like so random. It's just Bob. Like my new name for myself would be Bob, just Bob. And so yeah, it's one of these things, and so it's just one of those things. When you were a kid, did you have any posters on your wall? If so, what? No, this is a deck so that we've had physically, but for myself, I didn't really have any posters, and so it was just kind of blank walls and whatnot. And I don't even remember. I think I had posters, but I don't remember what they were. So let's see here. We got philosophy, so let's pull up some philosophy stuff here. Will technological advances wipe out humanity? I don't know. It depends because people laugh because if you haven't seen the movie Idiocracy, a lot of people were like, "Man, that movie that was like late '90s, I think." It's playing out. It makes me laugh. So Titus says no. I think you're talking about the posters on the wall. You had no posters either. But yeah, will technological advances wipe out humanity? I don't know. I don't think it will wipe out humanity. Depending on the technology and who's putting together the technology, it's going to work potentially hand in hand. But we got to be very careful though, because I talked about it with social media. It's very powerful, but it's also very detrimental sometimes to individuals when they're posting things on social media, and if they're driven by the likes and the quick hit of dopamine, if they go look and there's no likes on their post, or they go post a video and there's no views, they may get upset. And so it's one of those things that, oh man, the power, double-edged sword here. Humanity and technology are part of the same energy. You can, yeah, when you really look at it, just how the body's built, and with the circuitry in the brain, just very powerful. So I can see that with it being part of the same energy. Let's see here. Hmm. Are humans obligated to better themselves, and will that make them happier? Man, are humans obligated to better themselves? I wouldn't say they're obligated, but if you aren't in the process of bettering yourself and you're just staying the same course, how does life look? And but that's the other thing though too, like, and will that make them happier? Based on what I see in with different individuals and the people that I have, um, you do see it through the personal development, the expansion of their mind, working on themselves, how that can help them become happier because it potentially opens up the door for them to tap into their true solid self and start pulling away that from that pseudo self. But that is where the work has to be done. The person has to be open to do the work. And the work can come very quickly depending on how you view it. If somebody is very hard pressed or they're holding on to different things, that can block that personal growth from taking place and the expansion from taking place. Titus has here no and yes. So are humans obligated to better themselves? No. And that's what I'm saying too. That's what I thought is it's not an obligation. Because when we look at an obligation, like it has to be done or you need to do it and whatnot. But for humans, it's not being obligated, but will it make them happier? Yeah, based on kind of the people that Titus and I know, and our journey and what we've done, it has opened up the doors to help us be happier and be true to ourselves and just be that solid individual and show up regardless of whatever's taking place and just being who we're meant to be. And then we'll do one more. Let's see. Hmm. Can life be meaningful without friends? I think you've got to have those connections. And so having the connections with individuals does help based on how I look at things. Having the social connections, having the connections with other individuals, that can help life be meaningful because you can talk to individuals, hear their experience, learn from them, kind of cut down your learning curve. And so that can help out being meaningful because honestly, everybody does bring something different to the table, and their experiences that they have, how they view the world, does make it where each of us are unique. But can life be meaningful without friends? I think you could get around the world without friends, if you're making those connections, very quick connections sometimes. But when I look at it, friends are another avenue that you can be around, and every friend that you have is going to be different, and so you're going to have those different personalities. You're going to have those different aspects that are coming together and building this huge spider web of just uniqueness. But can life be meaningful without friends? I honestly think it can be meaningful if you didn't have friends, but it comes down to the fact that you got to have your social circles, you got to have those social connections, and we're social creatures, and so that's one of the very powerful things that when we look at it as humans, we're social creatures. We're meant to be around each other, and that's one of the sad things when we look at what's taken on right now with COVID and the fear factor that people have with it. People are losing out on that connection piece, and you hear that a lot of people are ending up falling into very deep spirals of depression. But it's the fact that sometimes I think a lot of people sometimes are looking and letting that fear control their life. And I look at it, I'm like, you could walk out your door and go get ran over by a bus. And so there, you get the flu and die from the flu. So I don't know. But with Titus here, friends add a spice to life. That's very true. They can add a huge spice to life. But it's the other thing too that when you look at it, you can meet a stranger and they can add some spice to your life too. Just by taking the dang spotlight off of yourself and putting it on somebody else and going and talking to somebody. I think the interesting thing is there was a time when I was driving Lyft and picking people up, and there was passengers that I had were older individuals, and so taking the time to ask them about life advice and what they would have to offer the younger generation, it's unique to hear the advice that they provide coming from the age that they are and the experiences that they had, depending on how old they are, what they've lived through. That can be a huge thing. That can open up a huge thing and whatnot. But man, that pretty much closes out this one. We got 9 minutes until the midnight here in Colorado Springs, but just want to come on, try to keep it short, but typically for me, it's not short. It's kind of long, but oh man, it's a good time. Hopefully, you guys really took the time to reflect and look at 2020 and really do that deep dive, pull back the curtain, and find those things that were positive, things that you grew from. And honestly, I would say you got to look and say, okay, who were you when you started 2020? And who are you now starting 2021? What kind of growth did you have? What progression did you make? What type of journey did you have? And what took place on that journey? So it's a different way to look at it, but you've got to change your mindset. You got to look at it differently and whatnot, because we're so driven on negativity. People are so driven by negativity, which is a sad thing to see and whatnot. But like I always say, if you guys have anything, if there is a passion, a dream, you have a desire, you just feel you're stuck, and you need somebody to be there for you, and you need somebody to help you out with just extracting that greatness out of you and that potential that you have, and you just don't know how to tap into, reach out to myself, Patrick, Titus. Yep. If someone, so Titus has, if someone is feeling down, shoot me a DM. Let's chat. Titus, yeah, Titus is a great individual too. He's another, as a coach is one of those things that I don't know, like it can have a negative connotation, but if you look at it, like football's got coaches and whatnot. But no, Titus is another great individual to reach out to. He does ultimately give you that space. He helps create that space for you, and it's a non-judgmental space. And so that's the great thing with the circle of individuals that I'm finding and surrounding myself with: Titus, Garrett, Patrick. Yeah, no, it's just a beautiful thing and whatnot. But if you have anything, you just feel stuck and whatnot, don't hesitate. The biggest thing is you can't view that as being weak. If you're reaching out for help and you don't know what to do, that's not being weak. That's a sign of strength. And because you got to remember, you're an individual and you're stuck with your experience, and you only know so much because you're one individual. And so the power of having somebody else to be there with you through a partnership and be there on your journey, but you have to understand you are the hero of your own life. You've got to go through this. This is your journey. Other individuals are there as a guide, as a mentor, but ultimately you have to be the hero of your own life, and you've got to get it through this journey. And it's your hero's journey. And so, like I said, reach out. Don't be scared. A lot of people are really open to really help out and see what we can do and help you achieve your dreams and your goals and whatnot. But anything that you took away from this video, any aha moments, love to hear them. Anything that, like I always say, if there's something that you're seeing differently, you have a difference of opinions, drop that. Let's hear that too. But of course, with Facebook, YouTube, this is being streamed on YouTube, Twitch. Twitch is a little bit different and whatnot. I got to talk to Patrick. I think once you become an affiliate, your videos are there and whatnot. But until you get there, it live streams and then drops it. But YouTube, Facebook, there's a share button. Share this video. Go to YouTube, grab the URL, shoot that out to whoever you need. But you just never know. Somebody may be struggling, needs to hear something. Maybe you can't speak it, or they just don't see it. They don't hear it because you guys are close and whatnot. I don't know. But maybe hearing it differently from somebody else can spark that and open up that aspect to change and whatnot. So other than that, appreciate your guys' support. Looking forward to going into 2021 with everybody, seeing what comes out of it. Big things are going to happen for everybody. I'm excited. Big growth for all of us, but appreciate your guys' support. I love you. Have a great night. Peace. Catch you later.